You see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, good. So in our previous session, we talked and we had exercise about inheritance. So now we are done with inheritance, and it's time to discuss the second uh, principle of object-oriented programming, which is polymorphism. Have you heard before about polymorphism in programming?
Hmm.
Have you heard about polymorphism before?
Oh, yes. Yeah, a little bit, yes.
What do you know about polymorphism?
Is it like getter-setter method?
No, it's okay. Let me tell you. Polymorphism simply like the concept of polymorphism is having multiple methods or multiple functions having the same name. So to have multiple methods with the same name, we have some conditions to use it, and we get some benefits from this behavior. Okay, so that's what we will see today in this session. So polymorphism is a way of using multiple or many methods in Java, you having the same name. All of them share the same name. Okay, so it's divided into two parts, which are overloading and overriding. And we will know the difference between each of them right now. So first we have overloading, which is the first type of polymorphism. If a class has multiple methods having same name but different parameters, it's called overloading. So this is very important. In the same class, if we have multiple methods with the same name but different parameters, so this is the one called overloading, unlike the overriding that we will see later, okay? Overloading increases the readability of the program. How it increases the readability? Because if I have a function that do exactly, many functions that do exactly the same job, okay, but only parameters are different. If overloading doesn't exist and I have to give a different name to each one of them, this will make my code bulky and confusing. Because all these functions do exactly the same job, but they have different names. So this will make me confused, and it will be, it's not the best practice. But like while using overloading, you can share the same name with all methods that have the same function or doing the same job, but only the parameters are different. So this way I make my program more readable. Okay? Okay, so now how to implement the overloading method? I have to do one of these two options. First, either I change number of parameters, or else I change the data type of parameters. Okay, and note that I have here nothing to do with the return type. Here I'm talking about the parameters, not the return type. You understand?
Yeah.
You have questions?
No.
Okay, so far so good. That's overloading. What about overriding? Overriding is a little bit different from overloading. Overriding is a feature that allows subclass or child class to provide specific implementation of a method that exists in parent or superclass, which means it doesn't occur in the same class. It occurs in two different classes, parent and child, super and subclass. Okay? So when a method in a subclass has same name, same parameters and signature, okay, and same return type, but the implementation is different, like we somehow change the functionality or the implementation of this method in its body, but the rest are all the same as superclass, like both of them share the same name, same parameters, same signature, same return type. All these are the same in for the method in the two class, the parent class and the subclass. Okay, only the implementation is different. This means that this method is overridden. Okay,
Yeah.
of course, we will see examples of these concepts in code. For now, is this clear?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Clear.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So method overriding used to provide specific implementation for the child in the child class. Like we have a method already exists in the parent class, and the subclass by default inherits all this from his parent. Okay, but I want to give specific implementation for such method in my subclass. So I can override this method with exactly the same name and signature, but I make the implementation different. Okay, what are the rules to implement the overriding? As I told you, it happens in a child or subclass. Like it doesn't happen with exactly the same class that holds the original method. No, it happens in some of the children class. Okay. Also, method must have the same name in parent class, and it should have the same parameters as well. And last one, static method cannot be overridden. Like only normal binary method can be overridden. Static one cannot be. Okay. You can hear me well now.
Not really. You're cutting out.
Like my voice is still not clear to you.
Yeah, you're cutting out a bit.
Okay. Like, can we continue normally, or you have
Yeah,
trouble?
I can't really hear your volume.
My volume is like I didn't make anything with my volume. It's used as usual. I don't know what's wrong.
I can hear you a little bit. Yeah.
I will try to raise my voice.
Okay, it's good. It's getting better. It's getting better now.
Yeah, if the problem still exists, like we can try to make a new code. Okay.
Okay, it's all good. I have this. I understand this part. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good. So now, before we go to see examples in the code, we have simple comparison between overloading and overriding. So overloading, first point comparison. Overloading increases the readability. As I already discussed, if you have many methods, all of them do the same job, it doesn't make sense to give each one of them a different name. So when I
Mhm.
give them all the same name, it makes my program readable. Okay. On the other side, method overriding is used to provide specific implementation, okay, of a method in subclass. Okay. Okay. Method overloading is performed within the class itself. Okay. Like in one class only, I have multiple methods. Okay. But for the overriding, it happens in two classes super and sub class. The super has originally method, and I do the overriding in one of its children. Okay, so it occurs in two classes that have inheritance relationship. Uh, in case of overloading, parameters must be different. As I told you, one of the rules is if
Hmm.
you change number of parameters in overloading, or else you can change the data type of the parameter in overloading. Unlike in the overriding, it's totally the opposite. I have to keep the same parameters as it is. Okay, so it's a big difference between overloading and overriding. Last, uh, method overloading can't be achieved only by changing return type. I mentioned this already. Like either
Hmm.
you change parameters or else there is no overload. Like you cannot have the same method name with the same parameters, but you change the return type and you expect it to be overloaded. No, this way it's not overload. Maybe in some other language, but not in Java. Okay. In overriding, return type must be the same in the parent class and in the subclass. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So now let's move to the code and see some examples of these polymorphisms. You can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, great. So here I will create new package. I will name it polymorphism. And in this polymorphism package, I will create a new class. Uh, for example, I will call it calculate. In this calculator class, I will create a method public int add method called add that takes two parameters, integer a and integer b. Okay, and this add method will return the result of adding these two variables, a plus b. Okay, okay. What if I want to have another method that also adds parameters, adds the values of parameters it received, okay, and returns the result of this addition. But instead of taking two parameters, I will make it three parameters. Like, for example, I will copy all this, I will paste here. Look here, it gives me an error telling me that I cannot have two methods exactly the same with same name. Okay, so here to solve this issue, I have two options. Either I change this name, I can call it, for example, add to. Okay, add to, and then here I will add a new parameter. Okay, int example c. Okay, and then here I will say a plus b plus c instead of only a plus b. So here, as you can see, the functionality is the same. Like I add the values of the parameters I receive, and then I return the result. It doesn't change here also in the second method. I take three parameters, I add all of them, and then I return the result. So the job still the same. Like both of them do the same job, exactly the same job. But the difference here is the parameters. The number of parameters are different. Here there is two parameters, but there is three parameters. I still gave them a different names. Here I had add, and then here add to. Like, is it readable? Like, is it the correct way
It
to
looks
change
good to me.
name of the method every time I have to change the parameter? Like for me as a reader, when I read this add, and then I read add two, maybe I read add three, I may assume that there is a change here in the job done by this method. But actually, there is no difference in the job done by any of them. All of them do the same job, only the difference is in parameters. That's why overloading is very useful to make my code more readable. So here it allows me to have two methods or three, or five, or whatever. All of them have the same name, but only the parameters are different. So here, if you note that if I delete this two and I have both of them back to the same name, I still didn't get the previous error. Why I didn't get the previous error? Because I already made a change in the parameters. I already added a new parameter here called int c that doesn't exist here in the first method. So this one is called overloading by changing number of parameters. Okay, okay. What else? What change I can do to achieve overloading? Okay, without changing number of parameters. What else I can do?
Uh,
Here again, I will copy paste this method. Okay,
return the same.
they are all the same. Both of them are the same. Okay, but I need to apply overloading again on this method without changing number of parameters. I have only A and B, and I want them to remain the same without adding a new one like I did this here. What else I can do? I can simply change the data type of the parameter, not the return type here of this add. No, the data type of the parameter. So here I make a float, okay, and then here this. So here, once I change the data type, one of the parameters of this add method, as you can see, the error gone. Why? Because this way I applied overloading on this method. So as you can see, I have now three methods, all of them in the same class called calculator, okay, with the same name add, okay, and I have no errors. Why?
Is that cascade?
Yeah,
Cascade.
because in the first time I do overloading, I change the number of parameters, and this one I change the data type of the parameter. Like here, originally the add method take one integer and the other one is also integer. But here in the overloading, I made the first one take float and the second one take integer. So here it's overloading by changing data type of parameter. Okay, this is the possible ways to implement overloading in Java. Okay, let's see if we try to implement overloading with different ways. It's not gonna work. Like here, for example, if I have here these two methods, add, add, both of them have the same name, both of them have the same number and data types of parameters. Here float A, int B, here also float A, int B. Okay, but I will try to change the return type. Okay, instead of returning integer, I will try to return, for example, long. Look, I still have the same error here telling me you cannot have this method called add in the class calculator because it's already defined, which is this one, right?
Mhm.
So changing this data type doesn't allow me to achieve the overload. This one is not overloading, and it will cause an error. As you can see here, changing return type doesn't achieve overload. So if I want to have exactly the same two methods like this, now I have to change the name. Like here, I have to make this error go away, okay, I have to change the name of this second method. So I will rename it to add with different return type. So this way, when I made change in name, now error is done. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay. So here, let's try this program. If it's working or not, I will create um, poly name. In my new class polyname, I will put my main method. Inside main method, I will create a new object of my calculator class. I will call it calculator equal new calculator. Okay, here I have a print statement. Inside this print statement, I want to call the method add. Okay. Once I put the dot on the calculator object, as you can see, I have here multiple options, okay, of methods. All of them are called add, okay? But here there is a hint that one add takes two parameters, all of them of type int. Second one takes three parameters instead of two, but still all of them the type integer, okay? Last one is the same name add, takes two parameters, one of them is float, other one is int. Last, we have a completely different method called add with different return type. Okay, so here I call add. I said calculator dot add. I still have three methods in the calculator called add. So how to differentiate between the first, the second, and the third? I differentiate based on parameters that I will pass here. Depending on the arguments, we will decide which method here will run. You understand? So let's here pass only two integer values. Okay, A and B. Okay, this one is integer. This one is also integer. So which method here in this calculator class will get implemented?
The first one.
First one, yes. Why? Because I passed two integers only, two arguments, two values, both of them of the type integer. So it match exactly the same signature or the same implementation of this first add method. Okay. What if I here, sorry, added another one? So here I have A, B, and C. So which one exactly is the second one? I mean the second implementation of the second method. Why? Because I passed three values, all of them are of type integer. So it matches the second method, not the first and not the third. Okay, here, if I change these two, instead of integer, I make it float with decimal like this. Now, these values match the signature of the third one. So this third one changing data type of parameters. Okay, this third add method match the values I passed here in the arguments in the last statement. So when I run this program, I get the result. Okay, can change this and make them 3. Okay, and yeah, I may no need to hold the different return type. So yeah, this is the overloading. Do you understand the overloading?
Yes.
You don't have any questions?
Yeah.
Please feel free to ask if you have a question.
Yeah, the last one, you're casting, right? It's called casting.
Oh, here?
Yeah, the int add float.
It's
Int,
telling me this one, yes.
it
It's
looks like it's
telling
a
me that
casting.
you cannot cast, or you cannot add float to integer. So I'm telling the compiler, yes, this A is of type float, but please treat it as integer.
Okay.
You remember we already discussed the type casting in Java. So,
Yeah. Yes.
yeah, I know, like I know you are from a different data type, but I want you to be treated as this data type that I specified to you by fault. And
What's
I'm
the
telling the
purpose?
compiler to believe me that this this variable, this parameter, or this whatever, can be
Mm.
treated or can be converted to the new data type that I'm trying to cast it to.
Okay.
So here, yes, float can be converted to integer. We will just neglect, okay, this decimal point, and this number behind the decimal point will get neglected, and we will only take the 2 and we neglect 0.8. So this way we did the cast from float to integer.
Okay.
Understand?
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. I'm telling the compiler that you are receiving float, but believe me or trust me, you can shift this float to integer. That's it.
Wow.
Okay. What else question?
It's very, very common, right?
Is the typecasting? Sometimes
Polymorphism.
polymorphism? Yes, it's very common. All object oriented principles are very common. Because Java is an object oriented programming language, okay, which is very powerful. And these principles are commonly used in all programs. Even the simplest one, still these principles are used.
Okay.
Okay, you have no other questions?
No, I think that covers it all.
Okay, now let's take a break, then we come back to discuss about overriding. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, goodbye for now.
Okay.
Okay, bye.